What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. Welcome to our daily show where we discuss everything going on here in this country that you need to know about on a daily basis, including money, investing, the stock market, the fourth stimulus package update, and the stimulus check update. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube channel yet, make sure to click the subscribe button down below as it's completely free to do so. And remember that new videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And also, thanks so much for hitting the like button for us down below. We got a lot to talk about here today. Russia has been voted out of the United Nations Human Rights Council. That's right. Officially, they've just been voted out, and more could be coming. And we're going to be talking about President Biden's major announcements, stimulus for tens of millions of Americans that has already happened here just in the last day or so. And on stimulus checks, what could be happening here coming forward as well, what Democrats want to pass here for major stimulus checks for the whole country on a fourth stimulus check here. So we got a lot to talk about here. Let's jump right in. Yeah, you could see here the United Nations has just voted, all the countries voted, and officially have voted to suspend Russia from the Human Rights Council over the killings in the city of Bucha in Ukraine. So Russia, yeah, and here's what happened. Here's the votes. The United Nations General Assembly on Thursday voted to suspend Russia from the Human Rights Council amid global outrage over the atrocities Moscow's forces are believed to have committed against civilians in Ukraine. The General Assembly voted to suspend Russia as a member of the organization's top human rights body, with 93 countries voting in favor and 53 abstentions. Russia voted against the measure, of course, and was joined by 23 other countries. The vote comes at least 2 votes in the General Assembly condemning Russia for its aggression against Ukraine on March 2nd and March 24th. Ukraine officials and the U.S. and other global leaders have condemned Russia as responsible for committing war crimes in Ukraine. Following the discovery of and at least hundreds of dead civilians in the suburbs outside of Kyiv, in particular the city of Bucha, and the victims shown evidence of having been bound, shot dead at close range, and tortured. Yeah, it was absolutely brutal. Ukrainian President Zelensky is also calling for Russian expulsion from the UN Security Council, which could happen next as well. So we will see here. You can see here, Russia says that Ukraine has presented unacceptable draft peace deal. Of course, just another excuse for Russia to continue the war. Imagine that. Yeah, for example, Ukraine could hold military drills with foreign country without receiving Russia's permission. So if Ukraine ever wants to hold military drills with another country, they would have to get permission from Russia. I know you can't make this stuff up. They're not part of Russia, but yet this is what Russia wants in the agreement to end the war. I know you can't make this. It's just unbelievable what goes on in the mind of Putin. Just unbelievable. Meanwhile, it looks like China may be turning against Russia. We'll have to see if this continues, but you can see here Putin's previous ally, China, has rejected buying Russian oil going forward, despite steep discounts, according to new reports. This could be a major change going forward. China is avoiding buying new Russian oil contracts despite steep discounts and Beijing's friendly relations with Putin, according to a new report from Reuters. While China has refrained from penalizing Russia for its war in Ukraine, state refiners are falling in line with Beijing's recent call for caution by not signing new contracts as the West imposes sanctions. The refiners will continue to honor existing Russian contracts. Those have already been signed, so they're just basically going to take the oil they've already paid for. But sources told Reuters that government-run Sinopec, the largest refiner in Asia, as well as CNOOC and PetroChina and another one, have all skipped on trading fresh Russian cargoes for May deliveries. So apparently they're not buying more Russian oil. And since Washington banned Russian oil in March, Chinese refiners do not want to signal any support for Moscow, the report noted. Meanwhile, the European Union has sanctioned Russian energy giants as well, while support is building within the EU to join the US in banning imports outright. Yeah, so things are getting bleaker and bleaker for Russia. And I mean, they're nowhere close to actually like winning the war. I mean, they don't have any single major city even under control. So I mean, you got to kind of wonder what's their game plan here. And I mean, almost every single massive major company has also moved out of Russia. I don't know. You tell me. But the longer this drags out, it's hurting everybody. Inflation, gas prices, food prices. Nobody wants this to continue to drag out, especially the people in Ukraine, and it's affecting us all with this inflation and, as I said, gas prices, food prices. But how do we get this war to actually end? How do we get Russia to actually stop? Next up, President Biden just suspended student loan payments for 4 more months. Here is Senator Elizabeth Warren with some more details on this and interesting details. Check this out.
The president announced an extension of the moratorium on federal student loan payments, interest, and collections through the end of August. More importantly, the administration also announced that it will give roughly 7 million borrowers who are in default a fresh start. That means that their accounts would be restored to good standing. Joining me now is Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. And Senator, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you in person. You know, as somebody who took a really long time to pay back my student loans, and my husband, we're still working on, I mean, he got all of his, did his education through student loans. This is great news to me. But there are a lot of people who create a moral hazard argument against helping people with paying back their student loans. And what do you say to them? They're like, well, don't do that because, you know, I paid mine back. You should pay yours back.
So look, part of it is we have to remember who takes out student loans. It's not rich people, and it's not people who aren't trying. It's people who just weren't born into families that could afford to write a check for them to go to college. And yet, we want to invest in those people. Now, when I was hitting college age, the way we invested is we made those public universities almost tuition free. I went to college, graduated, $50 a semester. Got my 4-year diploma and became a special education teacher. That opportunity is not out there today. So we say to young people, you need post-high school education, but good luck to you. The most we'll do is lend you some money for it. So they take on these loans. And the difficulty is now with the loans, 40% of them never graduate from college. You know, life happens. They have babies, they're working 3 jobs, their mom gets sick, they have to move. Do we really want to say, don't even try? Because that's what we're saying when we say you've got these loans now that you earn at a high school graduate's level, but you're going to have to pay back all this college debt. Or look at it another way. It's a race issue. It's a gender issue. It's an equality issue. African Americans borrow more money to go to school, borrow more money while they're in school, have a harder time paying it off when they get out. In fact, let me just give you one stat on this. And that is, we've now studied people who are 20 years out, and the average white borrower owes about 5% of what they originally borrowed. 20 years, they're still paying But the end is in sight. The average Black borrower, 95%. And it's got to look like you're going to pay until you drop.
Yeah.
The president could cancel $50,000 of student loan debt, and if he did, that would help close the black-white wealth gap for people with student loan debt by 27 points. There's not a single thing the president of the United States could do to help close that gap.
Well, why doesn't he do it? Because the other thing is, doing the moratorium and only extending it till August. There's an election in November. Good policy is often good politics.
Yeah.
One of the things you hear the most about is student loan debt from younger voters who are now discouraged and don't want to vote for Democrats, and they would if they were interested. But this is an issue to them. Why not extend it? Why not do the $50,000? What is the political argument from the White House that you hear back about why they won't do it? Is it a Manchin cinema thing? They'll get punished by Manchin for something else?
I'm not going to try to take the other side of this argument because I really just don't believe it. The bottom line is it's a way to help close the racial wealth gap. It's a way to help close the gender gap. Women now carry 2/3 of all student loan debt. And by the way, Black women are the single biggest, they are carrying the biggest debt load of any group.
Yeah.
So keep that one in mind. It's an equality opportunity, but here's the thing. Even if you don't have student loan debt, even if you don't know anyone who has student loan debt, which means there are like 4 of you out there, but no matter what, you still would be helped if we cancel student loan debt. And the reason is because this is about investing in our economy overall. In the same ways that we invest in roads and bridges, we invest in public education, because ultimately it helps us all. This student loan debt burden is keeping young people from moving out of mom and dad's house.
Yeah.
It's keeping them from buying
It's like
homes.
a mortgage payment.
It's keeping them from starting businesses.
Yep.
This is data out of the Treasury Department, Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. We help get rid of that debt burden. Then that frees up a whole lot more people to be part of this economic engine.
Yeah.
In other words, canceling that debt, it profoundly helps those people, but it helps our whole economy.
And those you just described the people in the Democratic base, especially Black women and young people, because the reality is, I can remember coming out of college and that automatic payment that gets sucked out of your bank account. That means you cannot spend that money on anything else. You can't invest in a business. You can't do anything but just basically you're a slave to that withdrawal every month.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let me know your thought there on Senator Elizabeth Warren's arguments. I agree with her. I think that the more people that get, the more help, especially people in need. I mean, you heard her whole argument there. I agree. Me and my wife, we actually paid off her student loans. She went to college and got a business degree, and we actually already paid off her student loans. And I don't have any ill will towards people that are getting student loan help right now or student loan forgiveness. Remember that President Biden did $11.5 billion of student loan forgiveness last year. There's several $billions of student loan forgiveness that is going on this year, mostly for people with permanent disabilities. Their school closed on them. Their school defrauded them. People in the public service student loan forgiveness programs. And they're pushing for $10,000 to $50,000 of student loan forgiveness for everybody, and then that hasn't happened yet for everybody. But the federal student loans have been paused for over 2 years now, which has paused the interest, the payments, the garnishments for everybody, which has been a huge help for a lot of people. And I personally hope that that does happen. I hope that there is student loan forgiveness. I think that could lead to other types of debt forgiveness. Senator Bernie Sanders is also pushing for medical debt forgiveness right now. We're actually one of the few countries in the world that even has medical debts. I mean, if you even think about that, you get sick and then you're punished for getting sick. You have medical debt. A lot of other countries don't even have medical debt. Because healthcare is a right in a lot of other countries. They have public healthcare covered by being a citizen. So to think that you would get sick and then you have to go bankrupt because you get sick, that doesn't even happen in other countries. And debt forgiveness is becoming a more and more real thing nowadays here in our country. So this is becoming more and more real, as I've been showing you here on this uh, on the screen. Just like stimulus checks, I mean, we've had three stimulus checks here during the pandemic, and I mean, if you look back, 20 years ago, stimulus checks weren't even a real thing. To think that the government would just give you checks because of a pandemic or because of an economic hardship, and they really. I don't know if we go back to the Obama stimulus check, if that was the first one, but stimulus checks are now kind of a thing to stay. And now you can see the headline here. Nancy Pelosi, they're considering more stimulus checks to fight inflation because how bad inflation is. And they're considering more. We have Democratic representative here. Josh Harder from the House of Representatives has just announced a new bill for $500 federal gas relief check program, which would be $500 checks per person or $1,000 per married couple in the House of Representatives. So this was actually just announced about a week ago, in the House of Representatives. This is called the Federal Proposal for Putting Gas Money Back in Your Pocket. Yeah, I like that. The Federal Proposal for Putting Gas Money Back in Your Pocket Act. Yeah, that's it's a mouthful, but I like the name of that. It's a pretty good, and $1,000 gas money. That's a pretty good amount of gas money. I mean, no doubt here. And you can see here the White House is even discussing this as well. If I could get this to stay here on my screen. White House has been privately discussing sending checks to car drivers dealing with high gas prices. And President Biden's approval rating is at an all-time low for his approval rating. And both him and former President Donald Trump both kind of suffered with around the same approval ratings. I think they're around 42%. They're both around the same morale or approval ratings. Both kind of suffered with the similar type of approval ratings. And one kind of way to boost your approval ratings is you know, send out stimulus checks. It's been proven to, and right now with inflation and the pandemic and people struggling, 64% now people are living paycheck to paycheck or actually behind on their bills. My actually personal favorite is the Democrats pushing for $300 per month stimulus checks. This is actually the same amount that the child tax credits were for, or at least the amount that was for children under the age of 6. It was $250 per month for children over the age of 6. But these checks went out to 60 million children last year. They're currently paused because, well, Democrats and Republicans can't get along right now. So, although Mitt Romney is trying to help them bridge the gap here, Mitt Romney's bill is actually for more money. Republican Senator Mitt Romney is actually for $4,200 per year for children under the age of 6. So that would actually be $350 per month, and $3,000 per child for children over the age of 6 through 17. So that would actually be $250 per month. But you can see how even $250 a month, it adds up to a lot. It's $3,000 per year per person, or $350 per year is $4,200 per year. So Republicans and Democrats are trying to get the child tax credits going again, but monthly checks add up to a lot really, really quickly. Really, really quickly. So the child tax credits are in the works as well. I know a lot of children are struggling. They say that over 5 million children have fallen back into poverty right now because the child tax credits are currently, those monthly payments are currently stalled. Which again, I mean, I want to see as many people get help as possible. The children, the elderly, people on Social Security, people with student loans, people getting SNAP benefits, everybody, mortgage assistance, rental assistance, utility assistance, any type of program out there that's for anybody. I say let's do it. Let's do it. We're in a pandemic. We're almost 1 million people have died from the virus here just in the US alone, 6 million people worldwide. Now we're dealing with 40-year high inflation. 64% of people can't pay their bills or are living paycheck to paycheck or behind. And now we're dealing with 40-year high inflation, and it's even higher now. The March numbers aren't quite out yet. Um, but March numbers are going to probably be in the 8% plus range of inflation. So honestly, yeah, let's do stimulus checks. Let's do monthly checks. Let's do student loan help. Let's do SNAP benefit help, food stamp help. Let's do state stimulus check help. Let's do Social Security raise. Let's do everything, right? Um, any type of help for anybody, let's do it. I don't subscribe to the help of oh, if one group of people gets help or if one state gives help, I'm not mad that state's getting help. I want everybody to get help. So yes, I totally agree with, let's have the federal government do it. But I'm happy when I see one group, when, I don't have student loans, but when I see people with student loans get help, I generally feel good for them. I feel good for them. I don't feel bad. I don't get evil in my heart for them. I'm not mad. We paid off my wife's student loans, but I don't get animosity for them. I feel good for them. And that's how I feel for when I see comments of people that got rent assistance, they got mortgage assistance, they got utility assistance, people that are getting SNAP assistance. So let's feel good for each other. Let's try to get as much help. Let's have as much love. Let's abide by this sign. Let's be kind. Let's be positive. Let's have love for each other, and let's hope that we can get as much help as possible here going forward. And I'll keep you up to date here with everything going on here in our community. Let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's completely free to do so. New videos come out here every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can click here to watch my newest video next. And you can click here to see all the states that are getting SNAP, extra SNAP money, and pandemic EBT money. So click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.